The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Everybody, and welcome to Armed Radio with Professor Jamie Lynn. And super excited, our guest tonight, Sohaila, is an expert on sensuality, and she is going to share so much with you on sensuality in today's world. So we are getting our Facebook Live going. Hopefully this works out. I see you on there, Sohaila. Do you see? Yay! Can you hear me okay, Sohaila?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. And I did add you on Facebook, so hopefully...
Yes. Oh, so we're rotating. Okay, great. Yeah. Okay, there you are. Okay, Hi. There we go. Bravo!
Bravo! Hey!
Hello!
Well, welcome to our radio show and our Facebook Live at the same time. Technology.
I know, right?
So, yes.
I hear an echo. I hear like two of you.
You might want to turn your volume down on your phone.
Okay.
It's going to be the volume on your phone. So we're going to focus on the radio show since it is on iHeartRadio. It's exciting with Armed Radio. The guys and the producers there are amazing. And I did do an informal, kind of formal introduction to you. And our topic for tonight is sensuality in today's world. I did do a little research and the Bible kept popping up, so we can get to that later. For my Facebook family and friends that are watching, I know on the radio show, they can't hear you, or they can't see us. Somebody's got their volume up. So, Sohaila, do you have your volume up?
I'm actually going to take these out because now I hear better on the radio show. On the phone.
You can't. I can't. You got to turn it off.
Oh, well, I just tried, and it's not going down. It won't go down all the way. It's so weird. So let's see.
Well, I don't want to have the radio show disrupted.
Okay, so let me put the other one back on.
Actually, you sound fine now, love. It's good now.
So we'll put... So
while you troubleshoot that, I'm just going to tell my family and my friends about my eye.
Radio show disrupted. Okay. Okay, so let me put the other ones back on. Sound fine now, love.
Okay. Whew. Yeah, that's
is this
definitely
better?
An echo. No, let's see. Let's keep talking. Hello?
Hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now. But okay. I'm trying to get the story about my face because everybody's probably looking at my face. So most people don't know. I haven't really disclosed it, but I have suffered from seizures over a few years. And I apparently last remember going to the bathroom and then waking up on the floor and I face planted into the wall, which has zero to do with sensuality. So I would love to hear about you and your expertise and all of the amazing things that you're going to share with our audience. Hello?
Okay, I hear you, but I'm hearing two things still. So I can't hear what you're saying twice. This is so strange. I don't know why.
It's your volume on your cell phone. So if we need to stop the Facebook Live, we can stop the Facebook Live. We want to make sure that our radio show is getting broadcasted correctly.
Because it's not going down at all.
Okay, so we're going to say goodbye to Facebook Live because we want to make sure the radio show is recorded correctly.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, I have to stop my Facebook Live because...
Yes. Sorry, Facebook. Hi. Can you hear me? Because now I can't hear you on the radio show.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear you. Let's just focus on the radio show. I don't know why you couldn't get your volume down, and my listeners are probably tired of hearing my technology issues with us.
I'm sorry. Yeah, this is so strange because I heard double, and I had my volume all the way down.
I don't know. Okay, so let's go back.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Let's go back to you. Introduce yourself. Tell us about sensuality.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
Are you there?
Something is going on. This is so strange.
Well, I can hear you fine, so if you could just start talking, that would be awesome.
Okay, I'm here. Phew. Okay. Wow. This is very strange. Now, this is the first time I've been on this type of platform, and it's very strange. Okay. So, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm waiting for you. Listeners are waiting for you. Let's begin, shall we?
Yeah, shall we? Okay, so I have no clue what you were saying previous, so you're going to need to tell me what you were just saying, please.
I was just introducing you. So introduce yourself, please.
Okay, so hello, everybody. My name is Sohaila, and again, I do apologize for this. I am a professional belly dance artist. I've been dancing for 40 years. I am a mentor and a teacher, and I help women be inspired and empowered and bring in their self-confidence and self-esteem through dance and fitness.
That's amazing. I definitely look forward to taking one of your classes when I'm down there in San Diego. So I'm in LA and you're in San Diego. We're not too far away.
Right.
But tell us, so belly dancing, let's start with the belly dancing, because that's definitely something that is sensual in today's world. However, not too many people do belly dancing unless they're blessed to know you.
Well, you'd be surprised. We're actually we're everywhere around the world, but there's just mainly a few that really stand out from the crowd. And belly dancing is a beautiful art form. It's powered and impacted by sensuality. It's a very womanly self-expression and explorative and experienced art form. Every woman should try it. They really should.
How did you get into belly dancing? How does one get into that?
Well, I started taking classes with my mom at the age of 12, believe it or not. She was taking at a recreation center in Vista, California. And one day I asked her if I could go with her to class, and I did. And I remember the day when I picked up that veil, it's a prop that we use in belly dancing. And I started twirling it, and I flew away, literally flew away. And it really just got in my body, mind, and soul right then and there. Now, I was 12, of course, but you never think what sensual or sexual or anything like that means. You're just having fun. At least I was. And and through the years, I started just dancing just for fun with my mom at festivals and outdoor events. And she was taking it as like an exercise. She was a single mom, and so she wanted to explore her sensuality through these classes as well. And so it's not until I think I was about 15 at the time, and I got a Persian teacher. We moved up to Seattle, Washington, and I just saw this magnificent dance festival, and I told my mom, oh my God, we got to get back into belly dancing up here. So I went to one teacher, and she made me about 6 months, but then I got so fast of learning that I went to her teacher, which was a Persian teacher. She made me again in another 6 months, and I started dancing professionally at the age of 17 up there. And I never looked back. It was just so much fun. But I never knew in my wildest dreams that this was going to be my career. And but it did. God gave me other plans to do. We moved back to San Diego County about 3 years later. 2 or 3 years later, and I was literally dancing, paying my tuition through college and my books and things like that. And again, never thinking that I was going to be a professional dance artist. I wanted to be a police officer, believe it or not.
Oh my gosh. I could not see you as a cop.
Can you imagine? Stop or I'll dance. That was my motto.
That's awesome.
And it was just, I loved being in college. I wanted to be a cop, ever since I was in the 8th grade, believe it or not. I wanted that protect and serve. I wanted that feeling of doing that. And, but again, I was in college, and then I just started getting booked more and more other places. And it's like, wow, this is a lot of fun. And, I got a call from Mexico City, and they said, hey, look, we heard about you. when we want you to be the first dancer down here opening up our restaurant.
Wow.
And it's like, oh my gosh, really? And so, of course, I talked with my mom, and I was only, 17 going on 18 at this point. And so she let me go. She made sure that it was on the up and up. And I was the first dancer in Mexico. I pioneered belly dancing in 1984 down there. And when you're the first dancer, the first thing of anything, you're usually their favorite. And so I've been their favorite all these years. And in fact, I'm going back there in 2 weeks to give a dance workshop. I haven't been back in over 10, 15 years now. But I love what I do. I just love what I do. I've traveled the world dancing. When I went to dance down in Mexico City, I was down there for about 9 months straight. Then I came back for about 3 months just to recuperate and veg out a little. And it's not until a dancer goes out internationally that gets more known. And so when I came back to San Diego, I mean, my phone was ringing off the hook. Like, we want you here, because it's word of mouth and it's people knowing you and seeing you and hearing about you. And so I was in a prominent nightclub in Los Angeles called Biblos Restaurant. It's on Westwood Boulevard up there. And I was their house dancer for many years. And then in 1989, I got a chance to go with a bunch of musicians to go to Egypt for the very first time. And that's the first time I danced over there, and I was hooked. And so,
I can totally see that, like, especially if you're belly dancing, and it's kind of cool, your story, you went to Mexico first where it wasn't really prominent in their culture and they were used to a certain style of dance, and then you go to Egypt, in the eastern regions of the world where it's very, I could just see that being so magical. And one thing I want to come back to with the topic of sensuality is I find it interesting, and I've had many guest listeners on my show where we talk a lot. Obviously, let's talk about sex. So
yeah,
when we're talking about sex and sensuality, to have a single mother take a 12-year-old to go learn belly dancing, which I would say, I know as a professional dancer, and I know culturally that belly dancing isn't necessarily sexual in nature, but I see some people would argue that the alternate, that it is a sexual type of dance where you're moving around and there's not as much clothing, especially if you're in the Eastern world where they're used to being covered up, or in Mexico or different cultures where you're completely covered up. But 12 years old is, when I was 12, I looked pretty darn old. I didn't look like a 12-year-old. I don't know what you look like, but we can discuss, since we have, a nice hour together. And I'd like to talk to you about that. So sensuality at 12 years old. And to define sensuality to our listeners, it's defined differently depending on where you look up the information. But sensuality essentially means, our five senses.
Right.
So, feeling, our visual, our auditory, our tactile, our kinesthetic, our olfactory, like all these different levels of senses. And then sensuality, for whatever reason, has, in the biblical, I was looking up some of the biblical research, was considered essentially a sin, that it was, sensuality was orientated into the feeling of sex. And that was how sensuality became very congruent and familiarized with sex.
Right.
So at 12, well, let's go here. How would you define sensuality? And then we'll go back to what it was like at 12 years old. So how do you define sensuality?
Well, for me personally, sensuality is within you. When I dance, I literally fly away. And so I could go anywhere around the world. I feel anywhere I want to be. I feel the amazing aspects of anywhere I want to be. Like I'm in a cloud and nothing is even touching me. I feel like I'm on a pillow. I see the beauty around me. So again, the feeling, the hearing, the sounds. To me, sensuality is taking all of these amazing aspects that we have within our five senses and literally use it to the fullest, and what and how you feel, you perceive. So that's how I define sensuality. It's very sensual, it's very sexual, but not in that sexualized form. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, well, for me, there's maybe out there a lot of different perceptions and opinions on this, of course, and some regarding belly dancing, it's Some are positive and some are negative, of course. And again, I started at a very young age and really didn't comprehend this, at that time.
Right.
I was, in the history of belly dance is identified as literally a woman's dance to identify themselves through their own body. And what better way is to bring that? And the roots of belly dancing began this, this healthful way, which was respectable and desirable. But what happened at some point in our culture, unfortunately, in some ways became viewed as sexualized and not sensual. And, and this is how the ancient cultures respected and loved and identified their sensuality within their body. So what better way to bring that out using this ancient belly dance art form? But again, it's perceived a little differently now, unfortunately.
I don't perceive belly dancing as sexual at all, especially, I'm part of the Y generation, and I'm just, on the cusp of the millennials. And I grew up in an era where wearing shorts and, cleavage and not so much covered up wasn't considered a big deal anymore. And when I always watch belly dancers, or I love eating, Mediterranean food and cultured food, that where there's belly dancers, I don't see them as sexual at all. I see it as a dance. I see it as beautiful. I see that they're beautiful women, and yes, they're moving, they're shaking, but you can clearly see that the belly dance art form is an actual art, that the mind can associate that essentially with sexuality. But in our day and age, I don't necessarily equate those two together. But in some areas, they do still crack, because I know you and I went to a restaurant together and had dinner, and that particular restaurant had discussed that you weren't allowed to belly dance anymore because their Muslim population was complaining. Is that accurate?
That's exactly. Yeah, I was their house dancer for many years, and apparently the owner went halves with his brother-in-law. And the owner, he's very young, so he's, he's very open, but his brother-in-law is a little bit more closed and conservative. And so they had me start, of course, dancing there. But then, of course, the conservative side said, we have some Muslims that come here that doesn't quite appreciate it. And at first, and they're both names are Stephen, by the way. So I call the young Stephen, said, who cares, And the older Stephen says, well, we got to be conservative. We got to, watch our P's and Q's. And so unfortunately, I don't dance there anymore. It's so sad because people ask for me all the time. It's so sad. So, but that's just one place, of course. But, through the years, we used to have live bands, live music. Now it's usually just canned music, with your iPod. So, times have changed, unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay. So, sensuality today. So what do you think about that? What do you think is going on aside from dance? I do want to hear more about the different multicultural dance that you have too, but when it comes to sensuality, what do you think is going on in today's world?
Well, I believe that it's very open these days, but again, there's a contradiction now because what's going on in our society, especially, politically, and, we always have to be politically correct, but apparently it's not these days, as we can see.
Right.
But the sensuality, a lot of people are starting to get closed-minded at the same time. So it's like a 50-50 to me. We're trying to stay open, whereas, my dancing, I teach this at a college. It's not called belly dancing. It's called Near Middle Eastern dance, where, I literally show these young women how they could be through this dance. They could be empowered, they could get their self-confidence and feel sensual and sexy in a way that appeals to all of society, not just to men or just to women. But I treat it as a beautiful art form. And the sensuality aspect, there are a lot of openness, especially the younger generation. The older generation I see is getting more conservative, unfortunately. And how to keep that up. My classes have dwindled a lot, unfortunately, because I do have a lot of older people these days, and just times are changing.
Now, I know this is kind of more business realm, but I would think the classes would be increasing based off of the notion of sensuality
Well,
with the younger generation being more open, I think that's more a business aspect of like big chains, like, 24-hour fitness or Zumba. We've talked about that.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm trying to bring some more fitness aspect to the equation, because for the business aspect, I have courses and programs. One of my program is called The Sensual Woman. And so I help women break out of the monotony of life and rediscover themselves through their own five senses and ancient belly dance movements. I've been doing this all my life. And what better way to take these women and introduce their senses and correlate them into these beautiful ancient belly dance moves to be more empowered than ever. It's just, getting it out there and getting the word across and explaining to these women how they too can be sensual out there and feel great at the same time and not feel like, oh my God, I have to oppress this. No, you can be who you are out there. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for these women to feel that. And then another, of course, my Nouveau Fitness, which we could talk about shortly too, but staying on the sensual woman and my sensual woman retreats, again, it's introducing these women, to get out there and be who they want to be without fear.
So yeah, tell us about that program. I mean, I'm interested. How do you help women with sensuality in terms of, yeah.
So what I do is it's a full course. My retreat, my Sensual Woman retreat is a day program. It's about 4 hours long. And it's like an introduction to my Sensual Woman program, which is a 10-week online program. And so we literally work with one. I love to work with taste because, first of all, I love food.
Okay.
To me, it's very sensual when you're eating. And
I'm just going to stop you as we go along in the dialogue, if that's okay. Definitely. I have never equated food to sensuality. So is that very person by person, or is this something I could actually learn?
You could learn this, and this is what I teach in my courses. I teach the aspect of bringing that sensuality into taste and correlate it with movement. And so how I introduce the taste is I have women close their eyes, and we could do that right now. I could give you a short little demo right now. If women, and even men, I mean, pretty soon I will have the sensual man as well.
Ooh, I like
I know,
that.
right?
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
next, the sensual couple.
Yeah, because I'm certified in tantric, and I love teaching tantric. So
there you go. See, we got to get together and make the sensual couple. That would be amazing. Oh my goodness. So what I do is I take women on a journey. So I have them close their eyes, and let's do it right now. If you're listening, please close your eyes and take yourself back to the most beautiful place that you've been.
So many.
I know, right? And you want to envision yourself being there. Now, some people can't.
I'm in Italy, just so everybody knows.
Okay, perfect.
So I'm like going through my head, like, I've been to, Asia, and I've been to the Middle East, and I've been to Europe.
I know it's hard to decide.
Yeah, I'm going to Italy now. Okay, so I'm ready. I'm in Italy.
Okay, and some people, maybe it's in the mountains, or maybe it's in the desert, or maybe it's on the beach, and their toes are in the sand, and they feel the beautiful water come up and down, and feeling the tips of your toes touching that water. It could be the breeze. It could be on a majestic island, It could be in your apartment in this beautiful surrounding with pillows or curtains blowing in the wind. So anywhere it is, just make yourself just be in that beautiful moment and feel yourself there, see yourself there. And just stay there for a few minutes and really understand how your body is just feeling, just very serene, calm, tranquil, and you're feeling complete at this point. And now what I want you to do is I want you to introduce yourself to the most beautiful taste that you've ever encountered. It could be maybe lobster with drawn butter. My favorite, whenever I hear about taste or I think about a taste, it takes me literally back to the Greek islands. I used to work on the cruise ship. And I was the dancer on the cruise ship as well as the hostess. So we had the best of both worlds. And I remember sitting down, eating dinner at the captain's table with about 16 other of his guests And I remember this Greek entree, this cheese dish with shrimp, juiciness, just hot and juicy and succulent. Oh my gosh. So I could see myself eating this right now in the most beautiful place that I'm at, right there.
Ooh, I can't do that. Ooh, this is fun. I love this visualization.
Yeah. Again, and you're complete. You see yourself there. You envision yourself eating this amazing dish. Maybe it's an exotic drink. It could be even a drink. Then what we're going to do is you're going to stand up and you're going to start swaying your body. Let it sway like the wind.
While the food's in my mouth? Is the food in my mouth, or is there a process?
So you're chewing on it. You're enjoying it. You're tasting every little juiciness of that. But as you're chewing this, you're now adding a move. And so, of course, I have particular moves that I correlate each one with the senses. So what you're doing is you're moving your body. Now I want you to move your hips, maybe in a circle, a big circle, and just move your body in ways that maybe you've done before, maybe you haven't. And I want you to envision yourself, seeing yourself move that body. And it's gorgeous, and you're looking beautiful, and you're feeling sensual, and you're feeling sexual, and you're feeling beautiful. And you're just seeing yourself in the most beautiful place, eating the best thing in the world, just so juicy. And sometimes maybe it's not juicy. Maybe it's bitter. Maybe it's sweet. Maybe it's salty. It could be different for everyone. And again, just move that body in a way. And then you're going to start seeing a smile on your face, literally.
Oh, I'm smiling. This is so horrible that we couldn't do Facebook Live. You and I are going to have to just do a separate Facebook Live on this, because this is amazing stuff.
And this is just a short little demo. I mean, I take these women through transformational, amazing tools and strategies that you take out to your everyday world immediately. Let's say you're in a bad mood. I help you get out of that immediately. So it's powerful. These are so just powerful, but yet so simple things that we forget to do. And so using our bodies in ways and taking these beautiful research-based ancient belly dance moves and put them and correlate them with these five senses. Oh man, I love what I do. I really do.
See, I'm having a hard time opening my eyes.
I know, right?
I was in Italy in this villa that we had rented when we were in Florence, and it was a 1,300 mansion out in the hills that overlooked Florence. And I remember we didn't have food. Of course, we had champagne. This was in the days when I drank, but all of my guests know I don't drink or use anything anymore. But I can see us there, and I just saw myself eating this most amazing sea bass that I had.
There you go.
And I was debating between the sea bass I had in Atlantic City at the famous fish market, or the cod that I had halibut that I had in Alaska. Because you were talking about the cruise, and on the Alaskan cruise, the food was just insane. It was so good. And I'm in Florence, and I'm watching myself in this villa, and I'm standing up with the food in my mouth, and I'm dancing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to open my eyes.
And it's so powerful. And this is what we do in the retreat. We go around and we share each other's places that they've been to and what they were eating and how it felt to them. It's just so powerful.
Oh,
we have to do a retreat up in LA.
Oh my gosh, I was like, oh my gosh, you need to come to one of our retreats, our masterminds, and teach this stuff. I'm so excited for our Divine One retreats that we have. Yeah. Okay.
I would love that.
I want to hear about this ancient art of belly dancing. So I don't have this knowledge, and you're, an expert in it. So where give us the history of dancing in this ancient art form. Where did it come from?
Sure.
Where did it originate? Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Well, there's lots of speculations on where exactly it came from, but my research has been, of course, it's been around for over 5,000 plus years. It's been around, believe me. And And through the years, how it correlated from the Middle East, it literally started in the Indian aspect, like India, Pakistan. It worked its way through Persia. And then it dispersed like veins, like going from here to here and here. It went into Europe. It went in through the Middle East to Iraq. And that's where it just started. It originated there. But to me, the ancient civilizations had dancing. You could literally see it on the walls in hieroglyphics. So if you've ever been to Egypt or any of the ancient ruins, I've been in many tombs, in Egypt, and you literally see the writings on the wall where there's dancing. There's dancers. They're pictured as dancing. They're pictured as even men using these. They're called tatibs. They're stick dance.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they've been around a long time. And then what happens is through the Ottoman times, you would get people or men from all aspects of different cultures getting together, especially in Egypt when they are starting to work on the dams and the Niles and Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. They would all get together. And what would you do in the Bedouin desert? Well, by day they would work. And then in the evening, what's out there in the desert? Not much. So they would party, so they would all gather around and everybody would bring a different influence of aspect of dance. So let's say the Russians would come and they have their own dance. The Persians come, they have their own dance. Turkish came, they had their own dance. So
it was kind of competitive. There was a little competitive nature to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
But that's where everything just originated, compiled right there in Egypt. And that's how belly dancing was formed. So belly dancing is from bellity, the word bellity, meaning from the country. And it's from the people. It's called the people. And so the Bedouins would be dancing. I mean, they live on dancing. They had a great time dancing. That's what they would do. And so it would be called bellity dancing. Now, of course, through the years,
bellity?
Now it's called bellity, correct?
Okay, bellity.
So now it's called belly dancing, as Westerners call it. They also call it dance oriental.
Okay.
So
where did you know this question? I've always wanted to ask somebody that's an expert in this. Do you know where in biblically or in historical documents dancing became a sin?
There's dancing in the Bible. When people say it's a sin, it's not a sin. They just portray it as differently because there is dancing in the Bible.
Right.
So, where they're getting that, I do not know.
Well, I've been to church before, like to different churches. I love going and experiencing different spiritual experiences.
Yeah.
And being of a spiritual nature myself, I just love going to different religious orientations. I remember one time going into a Calvary church that the pastor, they didn't have any like worship music as classic individual churches would have, where they do worship and Christian dance. And the pastor is very adamant that weren't allowed to dance.
Yeah, it's a shame because there's a lot of closed-minded people out there, and even like Psalms, for instance, 149:3, let us praise him with dance. So it's in the Bible. It's just there's many closed-minded religions, unfortunately. I'm not political correct or religion whatsoever religious, because what happens is when I was in the Middle East, you don't talk about that. I mean, you would get in trouble big time, and so I never talked about that. Don't bring up politics. Don't bring up religion, because it's just so different over there. There's mainly, of course, Muslims. There are Christians over there too, but all I could say is dancing is in the Bible. And I say we dance. Dance was, the gypsies danced it. We danced before the Lord, and I think we should keep it in there. I don't see it as a sin at all.
Maybe it was where, because there's different forms of dancing. I mean, sensuality, like you said, is the five senses. So I can see the different forms of dancing in terms of where it turns sexualized, and then people depict it as a sin. But we've had many radio shows on this and interviews on how we view, sex.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean,
kind of interesting.
Esther danced before the Lord, so how it became a sin, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not really into the Bible. To me, I can't get started on that.
I'm trying to think of analogies. So, like, right now I can think of an analogy to where one thing in the same concept could cross the line. So, for example, the way women dress nowadays. I have seen women that will wear something tight and show a little cleavage that looks classy, but if done in a particular manner, looks whorish, for lack of better terms and all. The judgment in our mind on what that person is trying to convey takes a very different tone. I mean, we see that in modern day. If you compare belly dancing to, you go to a strip bar, the dancing and the twerking at a strip bar looks very different than the sensuality based dances. So what other types of dance besides belly dancing would you say fall into the sexuality category?
Well, pole dancing. Belly dancing is perceived as exotic too, because it is different.
Yeah.
So, exotic dancing, pole dancing is different. Again, people are going to perceive dancing as the way they want. I mean, even watching hip hop, or jazz or modern, all this could be also perceived as sensual too, because of the different techniques that they have, the different dance forms that they have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, when I sub for some of the teachers at Palomar College, I love watching their hip hop dance because it's fun, it's exciting, it's exotic, it's sensual, it's sometimes sexual at the same time, but in a good way, not like, oh my God, they're demeaning, this dance. No, nothing like that. So, it's keep going on and on.
Yeah, because when it comes to that particular dance form of hip hop, the certain moves can be considered sensual, and then other moves could just be considered choreographed or particular, dialogues of movement.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And again, it's how people perceive things as well. I mean, we're all human, and so we're all going to perceive this dance different. Even in the sensual aspect in belly dancing, in Morocco and Tunisia, even today, they use it as a woman's dance and as a pregnancy dance. So let's say a woman is about to give childbirth. What they do is they will get together with their friends, with their women friends, and move their bodies in undulations to have her have I would say a sensual soul experience, but a movement where it's going to help her have the baby, easier. So it's a form of release. It's a form of helping with the birthing. So to me, that's very sensual in itself.
Huh, I've never heard that. That's
yeah. It's still happening today. Morocco, Tunisia. Yep.
That's so fascinating. So what else? So we went through the taste.
Yes.
So what do you do for the other senses, the visual, the auditory, besides classic, we listen to music or we look at ourselves in the mirror?
Yes. Well, the reason why I use taste in my retreat, because I always give out a gourmet lunch. And so they taste all the four taste buds. They have the bitter and the sweet and the salt and just all aspects. It's great. But the other ones, I do the same thing. I literally take them back into that most beautiful place. Maybe it's a different place this time. I always want them to experience somewhere different, maybe a vacation they took, maybe that beautiful candle that they smelled. So,
oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so
smell is fun.
Yep, exactly. So that's what I do in the senses with that.
Oh, fun! So you have your retreats there in San Diego on your property, because your property is beautiful.
I do, yes, in my studio. I have a 1,000 square foot studio.
I know, I've been there.
That's great. Yeah.
Awesome. So we have about 15 minutes left. What else would you like to discuss if you'd like to take the lead?
Yes, well, I'd love to talk about Nuvo Fitness as well, because then we could take the sensuality aspect and bring it into the fitness world too, and feel so beautiful and alive with your body. It's great. Yeah.
Okay. So Nuvo Fitness.
Yes. So Nuvo Fitness is a multicultural inspired fitness class. It takes you around the world in 45 minutes with all different dance genres and music from around the world. And it's all infused with belly dancing, with dancing again from different cultures. And it's literally an experience that you have to try. It's so much fun. In fact, if your viewers want to go and try out a class, they could opt in to try out a class on my website.
Nice. What's the website?
Yeah, it's sohailainternational.com. So that's SOHAILA international, the whole word, .com. And so there will pop up an opt-in for a free class and a bonus belly dance class too with me.
Ooh, I'm going to definitely do that.
Yes. It's so much fun.
In 45 minutes, how many different dances do you include in multicultural?
I have many different routines. So I'll go to Persia. We'll go to South Africa. We'll go to Tahiti. We'll go to Hawaii. We'll go to India. I mean, we go all over the place. We go to Machu Picchu. We hike up the mountains. We have so much fun. And again, I visualize them, being there at that scenic view. The scenery is just beautiful, and you don't even have to leave the studio to get there.
That's amazing. And what I hear you saying is people don't even have to leave their home. They can do it from online. Exactly.
And so that's a good thing. I have my own member site, and so I have online classes. There's over 400 classes today, all live classes up there that you can watch 24/7. I have a belly dance classes. I have Nuvo Fitness classes. Even my Sensual Woman program is in my member hub.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that's SohailaInternational.com?
Yep, they can check everything out there. Yep, SohailaInternational.com.
Okay, sounds good.
Yes, yeah, it's exciting. It's so much fun. I love what I do. I've been dancing 40 years now, and just to see women, come and go through the years. I mean, I've taught thousands of women, and some men too, dance their way to sheer bliss. I mean, the experience that they get in my classes is amazing. I give so much value, and to me, it's my gift to give out to the world, because I've had it for all my life, and I just love what I do, and I love sharing, and I love giving.
I know, you're such a sweetheart. I love being around you. Your spirit's so vibrant, and I wish that, we can help that Nuvo Fitness?
Nuvo Fitness, yes.
To be able to reach the younger generation, because I'm listening to you talk, and I just think that would be fun for my daughters.
Oh, definitely. And that's the good thing about this. I tell people that Nuvo is for everybody, not just everybody, but everybody could do this. If you're sitting down, if you're in a wheelchair, if you have back problems, if you have shoulder problems, anything, everybody could do this, because you do it at your own pace. And the main focus is having fun and moving your body. That's the main thing.
And why do you think it is that so many people have a hard time moving their body, getting in touch with their sensuality?
I think society doesn't help at all. I think it suppresses our feelings a lot. I don't believe that.
Where do you think it starts? If it's okay, I'm gonna interrupt as you go along, because I want to share this information. I have obviously my own opinion on it. So when it starts with society, where would you narrow down that it starts with exactly? With the parents, with the schools, with the media?
Wow, it could be all aspects. I think it starts first from the home. Everybody lives differently, of course. But then when people are outside the home, then they have different experiences. Maybe it's in school. Maybe it's in college. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's a conservative environment that they're in the first place. Maybe it's a very open environment that they started out with. Again, it's all up to the individual as well, because maybe people are from a conservative society, or a conservative area, but then they see, wait a minute, I'm not like that. I feel totally different, which is amazing. But they know how to get out of that and experience something more powerful than that area that they are normally at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it doesn't. I think this is where it gets confusing, and I'm not sure that there's just one answer, because...
Exactly, it's true.
Yeah, because for myself, I've been a marriage and family therapist for almost 2 decades, and I've had a lot of families come through, our clinics, and the parents were in a paradigm, because what's going on in the household is in many aspects so confusing and contradictory to the younger generation, because what they are hearing at school when they go outside, but also what we ourselves are allowing on our television, on the cell phones that now every child's having. And so there's a lot of contradictions when we have parents trying, especially with their daughters, and their sons, and teaching them about sex and how to feel sensual without being disrespectful and having some honor in that. And then we turn the TV on and there's so much nudity and degrading of the opposite sex and both sides. It's not just women that are being degraded. I mean, you've got judgment and categories and name calling going on both sides of the gender. That's literally being played in the living room and the home. Then they're going to school, and then they're picking up at school from their peers what they were learning in their household. So I just find it very hard for the younger generation. And then I've always tried to wrap my head around, my grandmother used to tell me this, and then my mom used to tell me this, and now I'm 40 and I'm telling my kids this. How many generations do we keep going back, especially when it comes to taboo subjects or, trigger subjects like sex, where, well, in my generation it wasn't like that, and you always hear it just keeps getting worse. Right. So where do we draw the line and it keeps getting worse, as opposed to reframing that and saying it just keeps getting better? I mean, what if in 100 years from now, it's just, we've seen an increase in nude beaches. You're in San Diego. You guys have one of the most open communities. There is a compound there, a nude compound where people live there. There's one here. Right. You're watching it on television with women, dressing much more promiscuous. You're seeing women be much more capable of having sex with various partners. We're not saving ourselves for marriage. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm like, my grandmother used to say this, my mom used to say this, and now I'm saying this. And where do we draw the line in the sand on those issues?
Right. Yeah. It's a tough one. It really is, especially what's going on in our society right now, with, the Me Too,
the hashtag
platform.
Me Too.
Yeah. And that's funny, because even today, I just posted on my time my timeline on Facebook. No one can be you but you. No one has the ability to take anything away from you unless you allow it. Right. So I put that on this morning. It's wow, this is good. Yeah, but it's
and
true.
That's hard though. No one can be you, but yet we have, and this is why I love, I introduced you to Simon Lavelle and the Spiritual Hustle group out there in San Diego, because we talk about this all the time. We get this message that nobody can be me but me, or along those lines. But we go into a world where we're constantly judged. There's constantly a negative,
it's very true.
You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. This unfortunate catch-22 that we're dealing with.
Right. I believe if you could get into that realm where you could get that strength and courage to just literally be yourself and do what you want to do, and who cares about anybody else? Again, that is hard to get there, but again, you're going to have to take little baby steps for people to do that. Definitely. And there's, I had, when I was 17 years old, actually 18 years old, I was, of course, in Mexico City, and I was eating breakfast with a very well-known Lebanese singer. And he told me, he says, always remember what I'm going to tell you right now. And I said, okay, what? He says, people will talk about you good or bad, but always remember they're still talking about you.
Yeah.
So what I do with that is, to me, you be yourself no matter what. And people are going to talk about you. If they're going to talk about you, good or bad, let them. But be true to who you want to be and who you are. And so just have the strength and that power to stay on the path that you want to take. Again, there's a lot of followers out there. There's a lot of leaders out there. And you have to ask yourself, which one am I? Am I a leader? Am I a follower? And if you do follow somebody that you believe in. And if you're a leader, more power to you. Go out there and lead.
I love that. That's so. We've got 5 minutes left.
Okay.
Be fun.
Okay.
You're always so fun to talk to.
This has been so great. Oh my God! I wish we could just keep going because it feels like we just started.
Right? It goes really fast. I just got to get this technology figured out. My poor radio show. I mean, our listeners are just always used to technology issues.
Aww.
So I've got to figure
sorry
out
from the beginning. I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's been everybody, literally. So I think what I might need to do is just switch to an in-person model, but I don't know how to do that because so many of my friends and colleagues are around the world. I've just got to figure out the technology.
There's something called eCam. I just found that out last night. There's also Be Live, but eCam.
I've tried Be Live. I'm not sure. I've got to work with the producers of Armed Radio and see how we can definitely get together and make this happen. I know I've been on their Facebooks where they've used Zoom before, and the Zoom seems to work well, but I haven't figured that out yet. So
check eCam as well. I got the link. I'll send it to you.
Okay, you can. Awesome. So in summary, sensuality in today's world, how would you sum this up? If you had 5 minutes to speak to we'll just address women for tonight, the last 5 minutes. If you had to address women, you had 5 minutes to say, what is sensuality in today's world and how is this important?
Okay, so sensuality starts with you. Always remember that. You could be as sensual as you want, and you know what? Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. What it means to you is it's going to be all individual, of course. But again, have yourself, again, I use my analogy of being in the Sensual Woman, my Sensual Woman program. Get in that most beautiful place and see yourself there and do what you want to do in that special place, and then add movements. Add body movements and see for yourself how you feel. You're gonna
by yourself, right? Like just even by yourself.
Definitely. Oh my goodness, definitely.
And I think if I had 5 minutes to tell my girls is loving your body no matter what it looks like. Exactly. I think women, we have struggled with this our whole life is loving ourselves and but it's easier said than done. It's what are the steps that we get there to love the cellulite on our legs or the wrinkles on our face to get there when we've got so much social pressure and influence and conditioning telling us that that's not beautiful.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. And that's why you have to be truthful to you. And again, it starts with loving yourself first, loving your body. And don't be afraid to look in the mirror and look at yourself. And instead of saying how ugly, this line is, tell yourself how beautiful this is, because guess what? It's all yours.
Yes. And
be happy. Be happy that I have that wrinkle here, because you know what? I deserve that wrinkle. I deserve this. So, you have to experience it in a different light. Try not to demoral yourself, raise yourself up and see yourself as so worthy and so beautiful and powerful. And only you can say that to yourself first, because you got to love yourself for who you are and what you look like.
Absolutely. And I think I like as well as in learning to love yourself, as you said, is loving, I think, the five senses, all of them.
Definitely. And take yourself there. Like I said, try these little few minute segments for yourself, and you're going to see how beautiful you're going to feel. You're going to have a smile on your face with no cares in the world. And that's what you want. You don't want to be stressed anymore. You could take stress out of the equation immediately by taking yourself back into these beautiful places and smelling and feeling and touching. You know, touch your favorite flower. You know, feel the beautiful grass on the floor. I mean, anything. Maybe a cushy rug, you know, that you're stepping on. You know, have yourself there. How does it make you feel? Tell yourself that and ask yourself that.
Yeah, I like that. That is amazing. All right, so we've got 1 minute left. Thank you for joining my show. It's totally awesome. We're gonna have to do this again. So we
have to go live Facebook next time and do the same thing. That'd be great.
Yes, and so for my followers, I am Jamie Lynn Melillo, which is spelled Jamie Lynn Lynn Melillo, which is Italian. Melillo. All right, you've got 15 seconds.
Okay, so my name is Sohaila, and you can reach me at sohailainternational.com. That's SOHAILA international.com.
Awesome! Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much. I hope to see everybody in my classes.
Awesome. All right.
Take care.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bye-bye.
We gotta go.
Goodbye.
Filled with catastrophe, but she knows she can fly.